My name is Robert Hartley, and first off I'd like to thank you for letting us have the opportunity and for your time to watch our presentation. I want to tell you, first of all, I got a can-do attitude. I love a challenge, and I just don't know the word can't. There's nothing that I've ever started that I never finished. I love always working for trade, bartering. Several times I've done that. One time in particular, I did a whole landscaped the whole yard for a motorhome, and it worked out great. We were both very happy. I actually had bought my son a motorcycle and was a little hesitant about him riding a bike because he's kind of a little uncoordinated. So I fixed the bike up a little bit, and I ended up trading it to a friend of mine for a Jeep that I restored for my son, and that turned out really well. It was turned out to be a real nice vehicle for him. That was great. Just recently, up here, I worked on a friend of mine's truck that he had trouble with. Couldn't get it to start, and the transmission was out on it. So I fixed everything for him, and then traded for a car for my mom that she uses every day. And it turned out really good for them, and for me it was great. During my lifetime, you know, I worked with my father, and we did land clearing and demolition, and we used to save a lot of usable items from when we cleared land. A lot of fencing, a lot of posts, doors, sinks, anything that you would possibly need to build a house, you know, like they sell used stuff. And love to go to the swap meet and get out there and start screaming and yelling and drawing a crowd and getting people to buy stuff. And sometimes people, they would buy something and they knew that they didn't even want it, but they would just buy it anyway because they just loved to hear me yelling and screaming and making a scene. It's really fun. One of the cool things about working for my father is, of course, he had a land clearing demolition company. I learned everything about equipment, trucking. I've had a truck license for years, operate any kind of equipment. But the cool thing working with my dad was we used to save cast iron for twice a year. Twice a year we would take and cash it in. There'd be enough money for me, my brothers, my fathers to take a 24-hour day boat and the deep sea fishing, or we would take and go hunting with the money. We did that twice a year, every year. It was really cool just by saving cast iron. And one year in California, it rained and rained and rained and rained, and my dad had a friend Joe Gomez, that owned a beef cattle ranch, and those cows were stuck all the way up to their stomachs in muck and cow dung and stuff, and we had to work there for 2 months digging out those poor cows. Some of them would just be sitting there for just days, and all they would do is chew, just chewing their cud. And my dad felt so bad, you know. He would, Joe, what about that cow? He's been there for a week. Could I save it? And he just didn't care. He goes, Don, if you could get that cow out of there, you could have it. And my dad, of course, you know, had animals forever. My dad had every kind of animal there ever was, so I know all about animals. And yeah, my dad was just an animal hoarder. What are you going to say? He had everything, every kind of duck, chicken, goose. He had raccoons. He had an ostrich and a Brahma bull, and he had right around before he actually passed away, he started off with 5 pigs and bought a ranch in Riverside and ended up with 2,000 of them. You know, and he just would never even eat them either. It was funny. One time for my son, he was in the football team, you know, and I just tried everything to get involved with him in his school. I was on the booster club, and they were having a Mexican festival in town, and they had a food stand, but they were selling cheeseburgers at a Mexican festival. And I volunteered to work at the festival, and they were all sad when I got there. I drove up on my bike, you know, I love motorcycles. I had a beautiful Harley Davidson. I drove up there, and they were all, ooh, whining. I go, hey, what's the problem, man? They go, oh, we're not selling anything, we're going to lose money. And I go, come on, what do you want to sell? And they're like, well, we need to sell these hamburgers and this nacho cheese. And I go, okay. So I just walked right out to the crowd and started screaming and yelling at people, because some of the money was for a 2-week football camp that the kids would go away to for 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, everybody, listen. This stand here is for the Montclair football team, and I want to know, do you want those kids hanging around your house? I'll take them all to your house if you don't get over here and start buying this food so that we can send these kids away for 2 weeks this summer. And if they don't go away for 2 weeks this summer, they're all going to be at your house. And I just went there and just said that to everybody, and before you knew it, they sold everything. They were totally blown away, and it was pretty cool. I had a blast doing that. And my friends, I got friends that I've been friends with just for, God, I mean, I'm very grateful about my friendship with, but they would tell you one thing, that I'm a crazy son of a gun, but I'm a loyal, trustworthy, and always there when the phone rings when someone needs help. I mean, that's probably my wife hates the most, is I never know when to not help people, but I do enjoy doing that. And for myself personally, you know, my wife got me into, she loves singing. My wife's a great singer. Used to sing in my friend's blues band, and just really good. But she also, you know, into karaoke, so I go with her singing, you know, and I think I do a killer George Thorogood. One of my favorite songs I sing at karaoke, people just love it, is Bad to the Bone, or I Drink Alone. And then I do like singing Stevie Ray Vaughan. But I've been to some outrageous concerts in my lifetime. I love live music. I've done hundreds of things at shows that if I had time I could tell you, but I'll tell you two in particular. One was at a David Bowie concert. Elizabeth Taylor was there, and I seen a bunch of pictures and people drawing a crowd, and whenever I went to concerts, I could just go anywhere at those concerts. It didn't matter. And so I weaved my way up to the crowd where they had all these people and security and stuff, got right up to Mrs. Taylor, and I put my hand out, and she grabbed it, and I didn't know what else to say. I just go, Mrs. Taylor, I just want to tell you that you right now are more beautiful than any movie that I've ever seen you in. And she just, oh, thank you, thank you. But truth was, she didn't look very good at all, but that's just what I said. I didn't know what else to say. And she let me kiss her on the cheek, and she kissed me back, and I told her to enjoy the show, and I went back to my seat. And another time, listening to the radio, they had an announcement that they wanted extras for, they were shooting the concert scene for The Rose, with Bette Midler was portraying Janis Joplin. So me and my girlfriend, we went down there, and I don't call myself a hippie, but I had long hair and stuff, and I dressed up in this old 60s get-up looking stuff, and they had the extras, the extras, and then the people from the radio station. But I weaved my way up to the very front, and I was hooting and hollering, and Bette Midler stopped the show, and she just goes, this next song I'm going to sing is for this cute gentleman right here. And she sang a song to me. Now, what it was, I don't remember, but that is a true story. I love, I always loved sports. I loved horse races. Used to go to races a lot. I lived near Santa Anita racetrack. Had a lot of fun there. A lot of good stories about that place. But I also played softball with my friends that I grew up with. We were on a softball team in a league for about 10 years. I think we won maybe 3 games. We were called the Buzzers, but we just had a blast. It just had a lot of fun with that. And I ended up learning, I had a friend of mine, Kim Crockett, who was a California State champion ping pong player, and he taught me how to play ping pong. And I mean, since I've been up here, I had a ping pong table in Washington. I haven't lost a game yet. So I am pretty good. I can't help that. It's not my problem. Now, Carl and me, we get along great together. I met Carl when I moved up here, and I'm so grateful for his friendship. And I kept bugging him enough till he finally let me do some work with him. We got so much in common. He reminds me so much of the gentleman, a couple of guys I worked with in California, sticklers and just neat freaks, and everything has to be perfect. But once you get over that, it's all for a good reason, because the bottom line is you want to make the people happy that we work for. And I believe that anything that comes our way, with Carl being involved, and he sells fireworks every year. And this year what we did, we made our own display thing on a piece of plywood and made it with a fuse and all these different shots that went up. And I mean, it was great, man. The people were so happy. And of course he sells fireworks at a stand, and he goes to Seattle and buys a bunch of stuff. And also he had a fruit stand and vegetables where he sold those before. So he's just always doing something. And then he fell into the shed business here. And it's almost funny because we were talking one day and going, man, we should have a reality show for a shed wars, because there is quite a few companies and people that build them up here, but nobody builds them quite like Carl's, where he has a great reputation for they're sheds to store stuff in your backyard. They look good, they're built well, and they do exactly what they're supposed to do. And I think he has a real good thing there going, and I believe that it's going to take off even more. And he's just a great attitude. He's a smart ass, and sometimes difficult to work with only because he's so meticulous. But I grew up that way. I grew up working hard, and I have a reputation of being a hard worker. And I just want to thank you again for listening to me, and I hope it wasn't sounding too bad. But those are some of the things that I like to do that I think would definitely put us up in front for the position of... Oh, wait a minute. A jack of all trades, because we can do anything. Believe it. Thank you.
All that really good and came to the end and went...
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.